Go ahead and say on this episode of the Silver Fox Journal podcast and or YouTube, because I'm trying to blow up like my guest here.
What? Okay.
Lacresha Berry of Berry and Company. We are talking about entertainment extraordinaire, fashionista, spoken word artist, educator, lover of life. I'm going to just say this for those of you who may not know. I met this wonderful woman through TikTok. And TikTok, don't sleep.
And you don't stop.
Exactly. And so the deal is, if you're not into TikTok, that's on you. But I have been able to meet virtually some of the most wonderful people, educated, talented, beautiful, inspiring. And so to me, because I'm a big human condition student of life, I feel it's so important to be able to bring these stories and people's expertise into the world. And none other than Lacresha Berry, Berry and Company is a lady that can do that. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
All right.
Where pie?
Yes. And so this is the deal. I think one of the reasons why you and I have meshed is we live very similarly in our skin, in our Black skin, and our beautiful brown melanin popping, success walking, beautiful skin. Exactly. Now I'm not as classy as this lady over here. You know what I mean? But you know, you got it. We got it on and popping. So
you classy.
We do our thing. Yeah. But I really wanted, one of the things that I admire about you, and I knew instantly, like when you first, one of the first videos I saw of yours was you had gone into this like thrift secondhand store. And it was just enough for me to be like, is that her boutique? And then it was like, no, it's not her boutique. And then I was like, that's pretty fresh. And then so when I saw, I was like, oh, she's new. You can always tell when somebody's new on TikTok. It's sort of like, you know, even if there's 10 videos, you're gonna be like, oh, they're new. They hadn't hit them yet. You know, it's like the wonderful wizarding world of TikTok hasn't hit them yet. But I just started following your content. And then I thought you were much younger than you are. So I was like, I'll interact. And then I found out that you are, and I'm gonna just go ahead and give away, how, if you don't mind, yes, how old are you?
I will be 42 in May. On May 20th, I'll be 42. 1979. Hey. Yeah.
So as a 41-year-old that turns 42 this year myself, I was just like, this lady is talking about all the things that make me feel like I tick, everything that makes me feel like I'm living. The only difference is you're just definitely more fabulous with makeup and hair and stuff than I am. But it's just, I mean, for real, like I'm like, how she get the lips that glossy? You know what I mean?
Layers and layers of lip gloss. That's all.
Well, but you know, it's still wonderful. And that's funny because that's a perfect segue. So what I'm going to do before we get into all the business, let the world know who and what Berry Company is. In your mind, what if you had to just present it, your elevator speech, your I'm the dopest, we're the dopest, your shirt kind of thing.
My shirt.
Exactly. Tell me who Berry and Company is.
I would say that Berry and Company was a name I gave to myself because I am an entertainer, so I entertain company, right? And so Berry and Company was a way for me to engage with people and to make me sound more official than Lacresha Berry. And so Berry and Company is education focused, is entertainment focus. It's a mixture of it's like edutainment with like fun vlogs and beauty and aging and anti-diet and a lot of the things I've developed as an over 40 woman in the world who is unmarried and child-free, not childless, but child-free. I just feel like all of those things kind of encapsulate who I am. You know, I'm definitely an entertainer first, but then as I became an educator, all these things started to mesh well. And then I became this multi-hyphenate, and I didn't know what to call myself, 20 years ago or 25 years ago when people were saying that you have to focus on one thing. So it's definitely an amalgamation of many things that I'm good at, and not just, I'm good at one thing or two things or three things. It's multiple things. And I've always been that way since I was a kid. So yeah, I mean, if that's a way to explain myself, then there you have it.
Well, you know what? I love the fact that you said you're multi-hyphenate.
Yes.
Now, it's funny that you said years ago when we were told you just do one thing. Mm-hmm. I had the fortune when I was finishing my degree earlier in my 30s to get a chance to speak to Gloria Steinem. And one of the things she said that, because it was funny because here I am, I'm old enough to be a lot of these people's like almost mom's age when I was when I was finishing. And I realized that some of the best advice I had gotten from this guy that was in all these clubs and was getting arrested on going to all these marches and things. He was like, well, why don't you just pick one or two, like two good things and focus on it because you know so much. Just put all your energy in there. Mm-hmm. And so I told her, because that's against like my moral fabric was like, I can do all the things. So I spoke to her and I was like, what's your advice for someone who is in advocacy, who's trying to build the world one person at a time, discover their human condition? What can they do to make the world a better place? And I said, but I feel torn. She told me, who told you had to do just one thing? She said, have you considered that maybe your place, you don't fit in a specific place because you didn't create it yet? She says, I'm working on 2 books. She was working on a documentary. This was during the time, exactly. This was during the time that President Obama was still in the White House. So she was literally at her age, which is in her mid 70s at this point, early 70s. She was doing 6 things. And she says it was the happiest parts of her life are being able to do that multi-hyphenated existence. And so the fact that you said that, I wanted to highlight that for anybody who's listening, if they're listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, because I think we get so pigeonholed into fitting into one hyphen. And I just think that just stifles us.
Or not even a hyphen. Or not even a hyphen.
That's true.
Just one thing.
That's true. That's true.
Because 2 is almost too much for some people.
For some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a lot of us that have been trained to believe that, just be an accountant, just be a doctor or a lawyer. And I am all about that life. I'm all about you focusing on one thing. Great. But for me in my house, I can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah.
I try. It's hard for me to I get bored. And also I'm more than that. I'm more than one thing. So, and all of us are more than one thing, but our jobs are not who we are. Right. So I think that's also something that we've also confused, is that we think our jobs are who we are. And it's not. It's just what you do. I do more than one thing. That's it.
Yeah. And you seem so well adjusted to that thought process that I see it. I see you embodying it. You glow from it. Mm-hmm. But I think we're so used to, as in a society, seeing this kind of stifled view of what it means to be complete, so that you can be that doctor, so you can glow. And that may not be what works for you. And it looks like all the things, all the aspects of Berry and Company are what makes you be you. And that's what's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people project their insecurities and they'll say, well, if I were you, or they'll say, well, I couldn't do it. A lot of that is insecure and projection. And some people have settled for what they've been told. Right. So not everybody's going to be a CEO, and not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur, and not everybody's going to be a multi-hyphenate. That's okay. And that is absolutely fine. I just think sometimes we have to just be mindful of how we talk to young people and how we deliver messages, thinking that they have only one outlet to, express themselves. And I think that is a detriment that was told to me that I had to unlearn in my 30s, right? So if I could, I was reading something today on, I follow this guy on Instagram. His name is Young Pueblo. And he does he has millions of followers, but he always does these quotes every day. And he said, a hero is one that heals himself and then encourages others to do the same, right? So once I know what that healing piece is, I'm going to pass it on to you and hopefully you can do that for yourself. And then it'll become a cycle of healing as opposed to a cycle of you got to do one thing, you got to be like me, there's no room for women, all of these things that I was told. I was just like, I don't understand. Why are you saying that? Why?
Right.
Because you've never done it or you've never seen it done, because it's about to get done. It's about to get done. Watch me. So I think I've had to deal with a lot of adversity from people who, we can talk about this at a later time, but religious upbringings and indoctrination.
Right. That's we could do a whole podcast on that, but we'll just focus on the good things here. Yes.
Or the things that have on the other side of growth, on the other side of the healing, right? Yeah.
That's that's a beautiful way to put it.
Yes, that's what we'll do.
Okay. Sounds good. So with that rebirth, that rekindling of finding your direction.
The Renaissance.
Your Renaissance, yes. What would you say was the easiest to undo and the hardest to undo?
Wow, all of it's hard to undo. But the easiest of the hardest, I would say, is the first thing that I kind of undid was marriage and children. That was a big, huge. I won't say it's easy.
Okay.
But I think my life has catered to me not desiring them.
Okay.
And so I think that was the easiest thing for me to undo, is to recognize that marriage and children is not a status symbol. Even though if I want to get married, I will. If I want to have children, I will. But it's not an award that I win at the end of this life, or in my 20s in this life, or in my 30s in this life. So that's the first kind of idea of, wow, I am kind of rebellious, because, and it wasn't until like my mid to late 30s where I was like, wow, I'm probably not going to be married or have children. Or if I do it, it's going to be after 40. If it's going to happen.
Right.
And for me, that was kind of like my understanding in my 30s. And I also think because I was a teacher, it kind of made me have like birth control. Like teaching is birth control. So
daily birth control without popping a pill, getting an injection, or having something implanted.
It is a mental birth control. I'm like, nope, I am good. I am the way that boy just screamed at me. No, we're not having that by choice. No. And so I had this epiphany where there was a woman, she was 47. She's probably older than that now, but she had adopted a group of kids who needed help. And she was telling me about this 10-month-old boy that her sister fostered, and said, we have trauma as young as 6 months in our bodies. And this baby was neglected. And in 4 months, that baby turned around. He's happy and jovial and jolly and a big old belly and just chocolate and gorgeous little baby. And he was so nice. He came right to me. He let me hold him. It was during a parent workshop I was doing or something for education. Mm-hmm. And I looked at her and I almost cried, because I was like, for so long, we were told that we have to birth children to make a difference in this world, or to be a mom, to be a woman in this world, you have to birth children. And when I looked at her and I said, she's a mother and she's taking care of kids who are already here. That is my path. My path is to take care of the ones that are already here.
Right.
To build up the ones who might not have that structure in their homes. And they also are here to help to grow me as well. So I do believe that's my calling, is to help young people in whatever way I can, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's in a classroom, on Zoom, whatever it is. So that was the first thing that I had to undo, was like marriage and children.
Gotcha.
Something that's not going to align you with your path right now.
Gotcha.
Who knows, it might change, but for at least 10 years, I felt this way. Okay.
Gotcha.
The hardest thing to undo was like, I think, like a full-time job idea, the full-time job of, because we live in a capitalist society, so you have to make money to pay your bills. But this whole thing of you have to have a full-time job and a salary and this to make it in the world, you have to follow this career path.
Right.
I think that was the hardest thing for me because I have a degree in theater and I did not follow theater after college. I followed the path with least resistance. So instead of me performing on stage, I said, you know what? I'm going to be a costume designer, which is just as hard. But I was like, I don't want anybody to think, and I was worried about people's thoughts. And I think that probably is a hard undoing as well, worrying about thoughts of other folks because, you know, I highly regarded them as elders in my community. I think that's probably the second notch on that hard to undo list. But I would say that, yeah, I think that the whole capitalist ideologies of you got to go to work to get money and to do it all over again. And there's a cycle from 9 to 5. I struggled a lot. And my mom just said, you know, why would you want to be in theater? Why don't you just be an accountant? I was like, Mom, what about me says account or tent? And that's fine that you're good at that, but I'm not good at that. Right. That is not my passion. My passion, I'm good at writing. I can write you down, okay? I can talk you down. I can perform you down, okay? So that's what I'm going to pursue. And if it takes me thousands of years to get there, I'm going to do it. So that first big step, I think my father having to pass away, I think once he passed away, I was like, okay, all right, it's time to let it all go, to let all your little familial ties and generational things go. And so I think was the hardest, was to like let go of the full-time capitalist 9 to 5, because I'm like, I have to take care of this apartment. I have to pay bills. So
you got things to
do. I got things to do. So I think those are the main things.
You know, that's funny because I did get a chance to read that. And I had screenshotted it, but I read that article that you wrote about your father's passing.
Oh, thank you.
And I did. It was beautiful. It really was. And it was just, you know, when you read something and it looks as if the person's lamenting, you did not do that. And maybe this is the empath in me, the feeler in me, but everything you spoke of, all the way down from your father's struggle with cancer, all the way
liver disease,
liver disease. Forgive me.
It's okay.
And through that process of how it wasn't until he was sick and he was in the bed that you realized there were certain aspects of your relationship that weren't as deep as you thought they were. Oh, that's my dad. We're good. We sit, watch football. We're good. And then you realize, wow, there's a certain level of tenderness that maybe I wasn't always getting. Maybe we didn't talk as much as I thought we did. And when I finished reading that, I didn't walk away from that with sorrow. So I'm hoping I'm interpreting them that way. I was going to say, I walked away with it as if you kind of had the opportunity to look at this stained glass window and appreciate it for its coloring parts, its reds, its yellows, its blues, its greens. And you took that and just like, that's what made me think about it when you were like, you know, after your father passed away, you were just like, this goes over here. This goes over there. And it just gave you power. And and that was just what I took away from it. So, I mean, I think sometimes it does take those things. I think it takes the loss of a family member or a friend or something major in your life to make you say, I need to reset. I need to reset this room up here. I need to reorganize.
Yep. Compartmentalize and to keep it where it's supposed to, just keep it right there. Like you said, just keep it over here. And yeah, I think I didn't even realize what I was thinking about, but at this point, you know, almost 11 years later, I just feel like I can look back on memories and like not cry anymore. And it's good. And also just making the realization that my mom was the one who really raised me, you know, and my dad was there. And we talk about this all the time on TikTok about men this and single woman that and single motherhood. And, you know, those that come from 2-parent homes are more well off and well adjusted. No.
Look.
No, I think it's a lot of it is societal pressure to be a mom, societal pressure to be a father. And, you know, my mom nurtured me, cared for me. We have deep conversations. And for a long time, I fought her, but we're so much alike. Right. And I end up talking to her and saying, oh, shoot, I have daddy issues. I don't got mommy issues. It's my dad. Oh, gotcha. My dad never talked to me. right. Or he did, but like we talked about music and sports and, so I think I appreciate my mom more too after he passed away as well. So I think that's another added, I ain't trying to be depressing, but that's another added layer of that as well.
No, I don't see it as depressing at all, because it kind of segues me to the next thing I was going to ask you about, because I know one of the things I appreciate about your content too is you are all about empowering not just Black people, but women. And would you say that being raised by your mom the way you were, the transition after your father passed to now, would you say there was enough of what your mom taught you that put you into your womanhood, or did you have to grow into your womanhood? Do you think she gave you all the fundamentals, or do you feel like it was like, thanks for the sprinkles, mom, now I'm out here and I'm doing this. I'm finding my womanhood.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. I think for me, a lot of in our family, my mom was like, do your own thing. Don't get married unless you want to. Go out there and, have fun, like get you an apartment, get you, take care of yourself. My mom has always said that to me. She's always said that to me. But then when you are in religious settings, and also when you are outside of those settings in the world, like I had like 3 or 4 or 5 things to keep up with. So there's the religious ideologies, there's the society ideologies, there's education, then there's the family thing. And sometimes they collided and sometimes they were aligned, but a lot of it was anti-independence. A lot of it was. But my mother, that was the main thing that she focused on, was like, you were independent. You came out early. That's how independent you were. You were 2 weeks earlier than your due date. And she taught me how to do the professional aspects of womanhood. What happens when you're on your period, like this is how you do your hair. This is how you get fitted. This is how all those things that womanhood allows you to do, like the very practical things. My mom is a Taurus as well. So we're super Taurusy in my house. So all those professional motherhood duties, she did very, very well. I do believe that, she was very strict. And so there were a lot of things probably in her that she had to deal with. And maybe she didn't know how to balance it all. And she had a lot of things on her shoulders, as a mother, as a Black mother. So I think that was like a lot of who I am is because of my mother. I would say like 80%, right?
Okay.
The other 20% I would say is I had to move away from her. So I left in 2003 to pursue graduate school at NYU. And that's when I started to like, oh, this is life on the other side. My parents were a drive away from me in Kentucky. I lived on my own in college. I had like a rent subsidized apartment. So it was perfect. I lived there for 3 years, lived on my own. And it was great. I had such independence in college. And my parents lived, like my dad could drive 3 minutes and he's in my house, 4 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. They were that close when I was in college. So I couldn't do that when I moved to New York. Right. And so I had to start communicating, and I realized I had a lack of communication skills.
Excuse me.
I withdrew a lot from people, and I was like, So I had to start developing my communication efforts, speaking up when things weren't working for me. Also, like college also helped me that as well. College also helped me become different from how I was taught because there weren't any college graduates in my family. My mom, she did get a college scholarship, but I think she didn't pursue it. But she ended up getting her accounting degree and things like that. But as the traditional 4-year college, even though at some point it's going to be obsolete at some point. But yeah, I was the first one to do that in my family. So that language wasn't there for my mom and my dad and my brothers. So that was also me coming into womanhood, going into financial aid office. How am I going to pay this rent? How am I going to eat? All of those things my parents did teach me, but then college kicked me in my ass.
Got you.
Then I came here to New York, and then that's 10 times the people, 20 times the people of Kentucky. And I had to also balance a lot of my, prejudice and a lot of my bias that I held on to when I lived in Kentucky. So I think majority of it was from my mother. And then by the time I moved to New York and I went to college, those kind of ideas helped me to become a woman as well.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that, because I think one of the things that I believe, and I'm just speaking from some of the interactions I've had with some younger people now, those types of moves aren't as impactful because of the fact that everything's at our fingertips.
Right.
Everything, you can literally pick up your phone. Like, I have so many devices around me right now. It's ridiculous. So that organic touch, the leaving home, the going here, moving to NYU, meeting the people, eating the food. Because I know we spoke before and you were talking about how you appreciated the fact that you could go get an Ethiopian dish and go get a Jamaican dish and go try some additional food and go to another borough and say, hey, this is the things. And I just feel like even though you can go and Google that and see it on TikTok and Instagram, there is something to be said about embodying that journey by physically going there.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it removes your opportunity to get womanhood or develop your womanhood. I just feel like it's a different process.
It's a layer of your womanhood, I would say, because then you start to learn, how people are, how men are, how other women are in New York. And it definitely was not the Southern belles that
right.
you're used to in Kentucky and in the South.
Right.
So it's like they are go-getters here. That is a very nice word to say. New Yorkers are
get it, move fast, make it happen now.
Make it happen now. And also, like, I was reading something on Twitter about how East Coast people are not nice, but we're kind. And West Coast people are not kind, but they're nice.
That, you know what? That is a very, because I hear people talk, because, I've spent some time in New York because my sister had family there, but I don't really know them.
Right.
But I have yet, and it could be a certain level, because I was always told it has something to do with your confidence level and your ability to kind of navigate on your own. But I have yet to really run into a super nasty person in New York.
I haven't.
I haven't. The times I've been there.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I haven't really. A lot of them, if I'm going to run into them, if I'm going to run into nasty people, some of them are not from New York. A lot of them are not from New York. The sense of entitlement is not in New York. It's just not there. The maybe in like the upper crust of Manhattan or society, yeah, but in Queens where I live, it's multicultural, diverse, and people have not treated me. I mean, there's definitely some racists,
Yeah, well,
working all among us all the time. They're everywhere.
Like roaches,
like roaches, like roaches and rats. They're everywhere and they survive everything. So I would say that, New York is, people will help you. Okay.
That's true.
If you ask them, how do I get to, Bed-Stuy from here, or am I on the right train or whatever? Not once somebody said, F you, find it yourself. Not once has anybody done that. And I just think I think the energy is we're all are trying to get to the same place.
Yes, we're all on the move.
We're all on the move. So we're not just going to randomly make small talk with you. Right? We are going to get to where we're going. And if you need help where you're going and I'm going the same direction, that's kindness. Kindness will do that. Niceness is, okay, how's the weather? All right, fine. And I don't really like you or I don't care about you.
Right. You can be a nice snake.
Yeah, you can be a nice snake. And so I think in the South, people will be nice to you, but still be mad racist. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That's a really good point, though. I mean, mentioning it that way. They're very
nice. They're very nice. Southern hospitality is real. I don't know if you've seen One Night in Miami.
Not yet. I haven't seen it yet.
I'll just give you one scene. It doesn't give away anything.
Yeah. Okay.
There's one scene and Jim Brown goes to visit somebody that his mom says to go visit. I don't know why. I missed it. But he went to this white man's house, a nice place in Georgia. It was beautiful. And Jim Brown was at the height of his career in 1964. He was 24 years old, just looking beautiful. Aldous Hodge pay. Oof. Anyway, the point is, he went to go visit this white guy who was played by Beau Bridges. And they were talking and the guy was like, oh my gosh, you're doing so great. Oh my gosh. We're so happy for you. You are the pride of Georgia, blah, blah, blah. He was just bigging him up, empowering him, making him being nice. He was being nice.
Nice.
And so then his daughter said, hey, Papa, or whatever, his granddaughter, you said you was going to help me move this furniture. So can you just go ahead and do that before, you say goodbye to Mr. Brown? And so, of course, Jim Brown got up and said, well, I'm 6, I'm a big dude. I can help you with your furniture. He says, oh, that's okay. We don't let niggers in the house. So that is how they'll treat you in the South. That's how they'll do it. They'll be like, oh man, I love this food that you made me. You're not like the other Black women that I've met on the other side of town.
Like, look, ding. You just literally, you kissed me, then you slapped me.
Yeah. And that's how it is. That's how it is in the South. The South is like, oh my gosh, you are so beautiful. But I would never, ever marry a nigger. Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, hey, I've grown up in the South my entire life. And one of the biggest wake up calls was when I left North Carolina and went to Florida. I don't know what it is about the fact that people forget that you can't get any more Southern in the United States than Florida. Some of the worst racism I ever heard was in Florida. Sorry, Florida people. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just being, having grown up in North Carolina and then moved down to Florida, like some of the stuff that would happen, I'd be like, y'all don't see, this is cool? I'm like, y'all are good with this?
Yeah, Florida, Texas, I would even say Louisiana in some parts, they have their own set of societal rules.
Now that I have heard. Yes, you are not the first person I've heard say that.
They have their own societal rules. And I would say there's this, I'll send it to you. There's this map of behaviors according to what region you live in the United States. So where I used to live in Kentucky, it's all about an eye for an eye. That whole ideology of an eye for an eye, vigilante justice. That's the heart of like East Coast Southernness, right? Carolinas, Virginia, Kentucky, all that. And then you have like Yankeedom, which is all about like capitalism, industrialism, and education. And that's like New York and all that. And then you have like the pacifists on the West Coast that are like Seattle, Oregon, California. Like there's a whole mixture of behaviors that you notice based on the environment that they live in. I'm going to find it. It was fascinating. There's 12
when you get a chance, will you send that to me? I would love regions.
It is.
Oh, that's
amazing.
Dope.
It's amazing.
Okay. I might take that and just put it on. Like when I post it to my website, I'll put it on.
Yeah. Because moving from, let's say, vigilante justice to Yankeedom feels so different, right? It feels different. It feels like, and Yankeedom is not an eye for an eye or tooth for tooth. It's like, I'm going to get in your face and you will listen and I will walk away, right? That's New York.
Yeah.
Kentucky and everywhere else might be like, I might take your eye out because you did not agree with me.
And you could be wrong as 2 left feet and 2 right shoes, but that doesn't matter.
You did somebody wrong. So you're going to lose a toe, an eye, whatever. And that's that, right? There's no nuance. There's just an act.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely send it to you because it was.
Yeah, please do. I would love, and I'm sure other people would like to do it too. And I hate to cut it short because I know our time is valuable, but I want to make sure because I don't know how long we have.
We get everything.
But my last question I was going to ask you is something I've noticed and I've spoken of, and I know you have. As an intelligent, educated, purposeful Black woman in the United States. Mm-hmm. What would you say is the direction that we need to go as Black women to continue to develop our skills, our lives, our families, whatever we choose to do, but without losing ourselves to get people to respect us the way that we should be respected? Because I'm going to say it. I feel like, and this is just me personally, I feel like there's been a breakdown, very similar to what you said that happened in that movie where it was like, oh, I respect you, you're the best, but we don't let niggers in the house. So it's like, everybody loves us. We're the 91%. Thank you so much. You saved America. All these things. And I've said it before, and some people may not want to hear this, but I've said it before. We have carried the weight of the United States on our backs and in our bellies for centuries. We are the highest educated with the highest levels of degrees for the last, I think it's 5 or 6 years now at this point. You know, we're commanding respect, not just because we're Black women, but because we're showing ourselves to have a space, even though we've always had one, but to have a true space based on societal standards in this country. What do we do? How do allies and Americans and people who want to understand Black women and actually respect us, how do we balance what we know needs to be respect compared to how do we still maintain ourselves without people? Like this idea of like, I shouldn't have to prove my Blackness and my dopeness to you. But for some reason, we're constantly having to do that. We're constantly having to prove why our melanin is beautiful, why our hair is beautiful the way it is, why we can articulate, why some chicks may seem, quote, ratchet or hood, which that's not what it is. What do you think is the balance of trying to be able to move forward as Black women in America and allow America to respect us for who we are?
Yeah, I think we need to stop performing.
Oh,
I think we need to stop performing, stop being performative, and to drop the act.
Thank you.
I think a lot of the things that we're doing is to be approved of, to be respected. And I still I think we internalize misogyny the strongest, and we perpetuate a lot of the issues only because we experience it the most. And because we experience the most, we will perpetuate it onto other people. I'm not saying all of us. I just feel like I know that I have done that. I have said that she's not a Black woman like me. I have said I'm a better Black person than them, than her, than all of that. As opposed to how can I empower others to get to reach their goals. And so I know for me, I didn't have a lot of close girlfriends, not like I do now. I've curated a life where I purposely look for Black women to befriend, period. Gotcha. I break my neck to make sure that I have Black girlfriends in whatever capacity they are to me. Because we have been told that we are competition. Stop performing, fall on your ass, and stop having perfection be our standard. And the reason why I say that is because I have been told I speak too Black in corporate settings. And when I'm not speaking Black, I've been told I speak white and I'm not like the other Black girls that they know. So either I'm too Black or I'm too white. You're not Black enough. What I'm going to do? So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be myself and stop performing. I think the one thing that my acting teacher told me that I learned in acting is to just be. And it's not my business if you like me or not. Right. It is not my business. I'm going to just be, and I'm going to find others who are just being, and we are going to connect. And I think we need to find women like us to start building these woman-led run spaces. There are more of us than there are of them. So there's women and then there's Black women. Right. So I just think I'm not performing for anybody anymore. I don't think we should be doing that. I think my goal is to teach Black girls to empower themselves and to feel whole by themselves without us having to reach out for other things, and that we need each other to survive. Right? We need a strong friend group because racism is not going to end. Misogyny is not going to end. Build a safe space and safe practices and pleasure practices that is going to sustain you so that then you can create this cycle of healing. Right. I think that is where I'm at and what I try to demonstrate with my young people. Right. There was a girl that reached out to me who I taught her in high school. She's like 22 now, 21. And my thing is, have intergenerational friends. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Have a 25-year-old friend, have a 35-year-old here, 45, 55. I got friends who I run with who are 59, 49. My mom, who I consider a good friend of mine, she's 63. I also connect with a lot of my students who are now 25, 26, 30, 35. So I just feel like having intergenerational, legit friends, not like, that's your mom or your auntie.
Yeah.
Like legit friends, right? I was sitting there talking to a 22-year-old and a 54-year-old about just having sex, about like what we want. Right. And I didn't feel like, oh, she's 20 and oh, she's 54. It was like girls going, we need to ask for what we want. We need to go out and get what we want. And I think there's this also gap of, after you turn a certain age, after you turn 40, your life is done, it's over. And I'm just like, we're just getting started.
Totally.
We're just getting started. And so I think that is where we need to focus on empowering ourselves. Like I'm following somebody on TikTok. It's called Divestment. And we do need, I would say, unity when it comes to Black men and Black women. But for me as a woman, as a Black woman, I'm tired of performing. I'm tired of the performance aspect of capitalism, of consumer, they consume me. Listen, that's why I talk about therapy so much, because we all need it. And when I talked about it, I was shot down by many Black men. Like, therapy for what? Why are you even talking about therapy? And I'm just like, You know what? I don't care what you think. I don't care. I don't care. At the end of the day, I do not care what you think. I know for me, this is what I need.
Right.
And that's how we're going to get better. And that's how we're going to heal. Now, that's just my opinion. I'm not an expert. I don't have a degree in therapy or anything like that. But this is just what I've experienced, is that majority of my successes have come from a Black woman believing in me. Majority of the success that I've had as an artist from 2014 to 2021 is because a Black woman booked me, paid me, and uplifted me.
Right. Right.
Period.
Right.
Specifically Black women.
Gotcha.
So when we do that, especially if we're in like these corporate spaces and settings, you do what you have to do to bring them up. And you know how we were taught, I don't know if you were taught this way, but like being a first is an accomplishment. No. I could be third, I could be fourth, I could be a fifth, I could be a sixth, I could be a 10th, I could be a 12th. It's okay to be second, third, fourth, fifth. It's all right. That's okay. Because the goal is not to have a competition of I'm the first.
Thank you.
The goal is we gonna bring each other up together. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. That's a personal choice.
Right.
Where I'm at is, because and I will say this, I cried yesterday, yo. I am on this path of writing. I'm on this path of creating novels for young people.
Okay.
I'm on this path. That is what I want to do. I want to stay my ass at home and write. I've been wanting to do this for years.
Right. Okay. Right.
And I'm working on a book, right? And my friend, who is a well-established young adult author, she texted me and said, do you have an idea for a novel, Berry? It seemed random, but it wasn't. She said, I've been thinking about you for like a couple weeks now. She goes, do you have an idea for a young adult novel? And I started crying.
Why?
Because I started crying because, first of all, she's very well established and she's a good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of embarrassed that I hadn't asked her before. That's first, because we're like literally the same age.
Gotcha.
Literally have gone the same path, teaching artists in New York, work with young people. She even hired me as a teaching artist. So it's like, I love her. So, and I don't know why I didn't reach out to her earlier. That's first. But she said, you have a voice for the young people that they need to hear. Are you working on something? Or if not, you should be working on something.
Right.
And what can I do to help you? And I was like crying because I'm uncomfortable in my position right now in my employment. So the goal is to just write and to just make sure young people see themselves in the stories that we create. So I was empowered by that. And I had a couple of other girlfriends, Black, white, everybody in between, saying like, I should be doing that. So it's not just my Black girlfriends, but a majority of them are my Black girlfriends telling me like, girl, do it. Go for it. Do it. There's no other time like the day to do it. And I just think we need all of those women in our, that's what I think. And I think what we see on TikTok is a lot of young people kind of figuring out their lives. They're in college, they're, in high school, and they're trying to figure it all out. And that's why it's important to have, that's what we talk about, the auntie, the rich auntie, all this stuff. It's important to have friends who are older, whose position that you are kind of, aspiring towards. Like, how did you get there? Or what are some ways that you've handled misogyny? What are some ways you've handled sexism? What are the ways that you do it? And how can we come together to, be impenetrable?
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen regardless. It's going to happen.
And more than once.
More than once. And as long as we are in a system, and people always say all the time, capitalism ignites racism. Nah, socialists ain't no better. A lot of these socialists, a lot of these socialists and leftists are racist too, because it is ingrained in our bodies to do so. So at the end of the day, it's like, no matter what system it is, 50 years down the road, whatever, if we're here or not here, it's our job to uplift each other, because nobody else is going to do it but us. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Even though I know you're not performing, I have one word. Bravo.
Thank you.
Bravo. No, I mean that seriously, because it's refreshing. And I know we've spoken and we've, communicated with each other.
It is.
But it's refreshing to know that I'm not the only one. And I know even though our directions may be different, our embodiment of making the world a better place, building up women of color, Black women, artists, creatives are there. Because a lot of times, just like you said, like my mom was an educator. My father was an educator after he did a gazillion different things. And there was always this nice, neat little box. And it's funny because I just got off my visit with my psychiatrist before we started. And, she was like, can I just say this? She says, you're in the right space. She says, I think for this new endeavor you're trying to do, the changes you're making, she says, I think you are in the perfect headspace to keep moving. If you need me, I'm here. If you don't, great. I'll see you in a few months. She was like, don't stop. Don't stop. Most of the time, did you take your medicine? Or you should? No, she's a woman. She's a woman of color. She was just like, no. She was like, do it. Do it now. Do it now. That's what we need. Whether it's from the medical field, a doctor, a lawyer, we need to know that the skin that we're in, the breast that we have, the estrogen coursing through our veins can be taken in. It can be shared. So that's why I say, bravo, my dear.
Yes.
Bravo. I think it's great.
I think it's also important for me to not just women who look like us and move like us, but also those that we might not have taken into consideration, disabled,
exactly.
Women, trans, queer, all of these people that I just have not learned to include. That is also who I'm including as well. And I think that's super important. I follow a few disabled TikTok, Black women TikTokers, Black femme TikTokers. And I feel like I've learned so much.
Oh my gosh, yes.
From them just talking about their experiences. I'm like, I didn't even think about that at all. There was one girl who I followed. Her name is Official Deaf Bay. And that's when I started doing my captions, because I was like, what's the point of me talking so much and nobody's knowing what I'm saying? And now I find myself looking at captions because we all need it. But, she was being harassed because she was being extra with her hands, but she's not vocal like us. She doesn't use her voice. And so she was being extra, and
her hands are her voice.
Yeah, her hands are her voice. And that's how she communicates. And people were saying that she was rude, and she was getting so much hate in her comments about being rude. And I said, if she talked, you would not be giving her the same amount of slander that you're doing right now.
That's true.
And I got so much hate just for defending her. And I just feel like that opened up a whole new world for me that I started following, and my timeline started showing me more deaf creators because of what happened with me and her. And I just feel like take up space unapologetically, without hesitation.
Beautiful. No, that's it. So before we end up, because I told myself, we'll do 30 minutes, lies, rumors of lies. We didn't, because it's a great talk though, really good. Tell everybody what's coming up. Berry & Company, what's the new thing? Drop your ads. Let's make sure, because I'm gonna put all this stuff in the notes for everything, but I want to make sure everybody can see and hear from you. Tell us what's coming up. Give us your ads and let us know where we can find you.
Website, Berry & Co, Berry & Company NYC. Instagram, Berry & Co, BERRYANDCO. TikTok, Berry & Co. I also have 2 other platforms. I have Berry Stylish And I also have the Berry Best Education. There's merch, Berry Stylish Shop. I'll give you all of these. I have so much, everything. I'm on YouTube, Lacresha Berry.
Oh, you know what? I'll just take your link tree.
Take my link
and put it in. I'll just put your link tree in the link.
I'm all over the interwebs. You cannot miss me.
You do all the things.
All of the things.
You do all the things. And I think
it's
unapologetically beautiful, unapologetically Black, unapologetically talented.
Thank you so much.
Bravo to you for the things that you're doing. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I hope you can do it again.
I would love to.
Totally. And actually I want to start having, and I'm trying to build out a Patreon page. I don't know how I feel about that.
I finally put mine up.
You did? I saw the link, but when I clicked on it, it wouldn't let me click on it, just so you know. I have to look again. I'll check again to make sure, but hey, check it out. When you go to her LinkedIn, when you go to her link tree that I'm going to put in the podcast notes and then I'm going to put on my website, it's going to be linked into the YouTube. I'm sending her the file too, so she can make sure she can put it to her YouTube, because each one teach one. It takes a village to build the village.
Yes,
and we need all of that together. So again, bravo, my dear. And I really, really appreciate you on this and ending up this episode of the Silver Fox Journal podcast, as well as YouTube. Lacresha Berry, Berry & Company. Thank you so much. Until the next time, my people. Bye. Bye. Bye.